First two games we had great atmospheres. I really want to thank the Texas fans for coming out and supporting this team, and it was so much fun. In Houston last week was 70+ thousand for Rice, and then coming back for over 100,000 this week was a lot of fun. So proud of the Texas fans. It's a great atmosphere for our kids. In fact, it was loud. Red McCone's north end has changed everything with the dynamics in that stadium, because now you really can't hear. I thought we played much better as a team against Wyoming than we did Rice. We had a lot more spirit on the sideline, and I thought that created spirit in the crowd. It was very hot, and I was proud that our team's in great shape, and the guys handled the heat very well. We had too many penalties during the ball game. There's no doubt about that, but most of them were aggressive penalties. We want our team to be tough. There's a fine line between being a tough team and a physical team and not crossing that line. So most of the time the better teams have more penalties, especially early in the season. So we need to have fewer penalties, but we still want to be tough. We were too inconsistent because of the penalties and lack of forced turnovers. We couldn't get off the field offensively, and we need to stay on the field offensively. We weren't consistent enough to finish drives at the end when we needed to. Need to start faster. We've only scored 3 points in the first quarter in the first two games. We scored 41 points in the second quarter, so we got to try to figure out, and it's a team dynamic, not just an offensive dynamic, how to force some turnovers, force better field position, and score in that opening drive, and we did get a field goal the opening drive this time, but we're not scoring touchdowns in the first quarter. When you see the depth chart today, you see either or. That simply means that the coordinators do not have to know who's in the game with an either or. It doesn't mean that the or might be starting, but it means we do not have to tell Greg or Will so-and-so is in the game, because it changes the game plan. Defensively, we held them to 7 points. We shut down their running game. We want to hold them to 3.3 yards or less. We held them to 1.55. They had 20 attempts for 31 yards. We wanted to stop their pass for less than 5 yards per attempt, and we did not. They had 5.11. They had 44 attempts for 225 yards. We need to do a better job in that area. We didn't force turnovers, but we forced 3 fourth-down stops, which is like a turnover for us. But we still need to strip some more balls, get some fumbles, and try to get some interceptions. We do not want to give up any big plays. We gave up a pass of 34 yards and a pass of 29 yards, so we have to stop those two explosive plays. In the red zone, they scored 1 out of 3 times down there, so we actually won with 66% success rate. Third downs, we won. They were 3 out of 15, so we had 12 wins there for 80%. First down, we won. We had 17 successful first downs to their 6, so we were 74%. We had 7 missed tackles for 75 yards, and that's too many, and most of them on their quarterback. Austin Carter Samuels did a good job of being elusive. We had 5 3-and-outs, 3 sacks, 19 hits on the quarterback, and 11 pressures. Defensive player of the game was Sam Acho. The hard hat award on defense goes to Blake Gideon, and it was not for his targeting penalty, it was for his tackle. After that, for you who will question. Ball hawks, there were 4 of them. Shockey Brown, Curtis Brown, Jackson Jeffcoat, and Eddie Jones, all on the 4th down stops. Offensively, we've had no turnovers in the first 2 games. We're leading the nation in lack of turnovers. We've just had 1 with a fumble punt. Explosive plays, we had 8, 3 runs and 5 passes. We were successful on first down 64% of the time, which is the best we've done in a long time. Third downs, we were 50%, which is really good. We were 7 out of 14. We were 3 of 8 at halftime, so it got much better the second half. Red zone, we scored 100% of the time, 3 out of 3 in the red zone. We have not given up a sack. In fact, we're one of only 9 teams in the country that has not given up a sack for the first 2 games. We scored the last 5 minutes of the half and the first 5 minutes of the second half, which is what you need to do to be successful. We only had 1 negative run during the game, and our run consistency was 61%, which again is very high. Offensive player of the game is Mike Davis. Boss hog, the best offensive lineman, was David Snow. Big hit was Fozzie Whitaker. Biggest contributor was Garrett Gilbert. We're talking to our guys about yards after contact, which is very, very important when you touch the ball. Fozzie had 45 yards after contact. Cody had 31. Trey had 20. Mike Davis had 61. James Kirkendall 18, Malcolm Williams 12, and Marquise Goodwin 10. So we're really pushing the guys to do a better job after contact. Well, there's always one. There's always one. Players we'd kick out of the room and make them leave. I don't guess we can do that with Sean. Special teams, our kickoff coverage was good. We had 2 tackles inside the 20, 3 touchbacks, and their average starting yard line was a 22-yard line. Punt block and return, we averaged 16.5 yards on our punt return, so it was very good. Curtis Brown had a 32-yard return, and Aaron Williams had an 18-yard return. Field goals and extra points were very good. We were 4 out of 4 on extra points, and 2 field goals, one of 36 and one of 45 yards for 10 points. Punt was just okay. We're very, very poor as we tried to down them inside the 20. Neither one of those punts were successful, so we've got to do a better job in our rocket return, and I thought our kickoff returns were just very average. I didn't think they were what we needed to be. Special teams player of the game was Justin Tucker. We just played the 12 true freshmen that we played last week. We didn't play another one, and that is tied for the 4th most freshmen to play in the country. Texas Tech's a fun challenge for us. We've been out there 6 times since we've been here, and we're 3-3. We have won 2 out of the last 3 times. We've beaten them all 6 times here, so we're 9-3 overall, but it's been a tough place for Texas to play. Since '94, Texas is 9-9 in Lubbock. They're 2-0, and they're doing really well under new coach Tommy Tuberville, who's got a great track record, and he's a tremendous coach. We're 1 out of 9 teams, as we said earlier, without a sack, and they're tied for 3rd in the country with 9 sacks. So it'll be a great matchup to see our offensive line trying to protect against their sack bunch. They're more like the Alabama defense this year. They're very multiple. Where last year they sat there and played pretty much base defense. But since Coach Willis came from Alabama, we figure we'll see a game plan very similar to the one in the national championship. A lot of blitzing, a lot of movement. They're 42+% blitz, or 46, I think, percent blitz in the first 2 ball games. They've gotten off to fast starts, and we have not. The UCLA game next week will be a 6-day pick. So for you who are asking about times, we will probably not have it till next Sunday or Monday. The national TV game this week will be ABC and ESPN2 that'll cover the country. It'll be Ron Franklin and Ed Cunningham, but everybody in the country will have a chance to see it on one of those 2 networks. We're 10-2 in Big 12 openers. 2 of those wins have been against Tech. We're 49-6 against teams in the state of Texas since 1998. We've won 32 of our last 35 games in August and September. We're 47-9 on the road. We are 31 out of the last 35 in Big 12 games on the road. So we're excited about the challenge of going to Lubbock.
Coach, everybody knows what happened 2 years ago. How do you take that negative and make it into a positive in your preparation this week?
What you do is you take every game and do your best to prepare for it and try to win it. Most of these kids, or half of these kids, were sophomores and juniors and seniors in high school. I guess juniors and seniors in high school when that one came up, so they probably watched it on TV, but they haven't been out there yet. So I think what you do is you show them the stats, show them they lined up and whipped us, they out-coached us, and other than that, you go on and try to get your team ready to play.
What is it about playing in Lubbock? Because it's happened to Coach Roll, Coach Akers, Coach Mack, Coach McQueen. It's always been a tough place to play for Texas.
Anytime you play on the road, it's tough. We've had tough times at Kansas State. We've had some tough games at Oklahoma State. So Colorado's always upset some people on the road. So it's much more comfortable for people to play at home than it is on the road.
Mack, after Mike got there and established what he did, I would imagine that team, you knew exactly what you were going to get from their offense without even thinking about it. How different is it this year in preparation for Tommy Tuberville?
It's not much different. They're rushing for about 112 yards. They're throwing it for 300 and something, and they're very good on offense. They have not thrown an interception, which is really unusual. They've only had a few fumbles that they've lost. So, but they're still lining up in fact, they're a quicker tempo now than they were with Mike. Still a similar offense, a lot of similar plays, but there are some different type plays. But Taylor Potts is very accurate, and he's doing a great job.
Could you go back and look at last year's film at all and prepare for a possible both quarterbacks in that situation?
No, we do not. What you do is you prepare for the starter and you adjust if something happens and somebody else comes in.